Hello, the Internet. My name's Laura, and this is The Law of the Prince Charming, Chapter 7.3. Breakfast is a bright affair, made interesting entirely by the Bluebeard's regretful announcement that he is being called away that very day on business. He informs his guests that they are welcome to stay with his wife as their hostess, and he will attempt to return as quickly as possible. Tabitha does not miss the ring of keys clutched tightly in the lady's hand. The Bluebeard leaves not long after breakfast concludes. Tabitha and Wildrose join the Lady of Bluedell and several other lady guests in her garden around midday. They gather on a circular formation of benches among bushes with tiny, fragrant yellow and white flowers. Just beyond the hedge is a fountain that touches the air with the gentle sounds of falling water. "Your garden is so beautiful," one lady praises. "Having it be in full bloom during the winter is amazing." "My husband knows how much I love gardens, so he has artifacts that make the flowers grow. It's also why it's so warm out here," the Lady of Bluedell says. "And no matter where I look at your house, I am jealous," Wildrose says. "There seem to be treasures everywhere." The Lady of Bluedell smiles at him. "My lord does have wonderful taste. You have married well," a second lady says. "He will be able to take such good care of you." "I was worried at first, since I did not know him well," the Lady of Bluedell admits. "However, he has been so kind and attentive that I can imagine marrying no one else. He is the finest businessman in the kingdom, which of course is why he is called on to take trips so often. He is also an accomplished musician and sword fighter. Any lady would be lucky to have him as a husband," the Silver Lioness agrees. Tabitha finds it a sort of comfort that she doesn't need to lead the conversation, and that no one is going out of their way to try and garner her attention. She had never realized how much of an effort conversation really was. Her attention wanders around the garden. Among the well-manicured plants shines the occasional yellow-colored ball, sitting on a stand made of silver. The warmth radiating from it engulfs the mansion grounds and allows the plants to bloom like it's spring. Tabitha hears a quick trill and a pair of einri land on the branches of a flowering tree. The mythic birds both have markings that are a deep, glowing purple. Tabitha hears Wildrose's voice weave through the sounds of the garden. She still remembers the way his arms felt around her the night before. Her mother had never comforted her like that. Tabitha had been left to manage her emotions by herself, and she had gotten rather good at it. His arms felt safe. She looks toward Wildrose at the same moment he turns to her. "None so lovely as the Lady of Redstone," Wildrose says with a smile as he catches her eye. She feels herself blush at the suddenness of the statement, even though she has no idea what was said prior to that. The other ladies smile knowingly at each other. "I believe the servants are just about done preparing our next activity," the Lady of Bluedell stands, addressing her guests. "How are you?" Wildrose leans toward Tabitha. "A little bored, actually," she admits. "Not surprising. These ladies are too polite to talk about anything interesting." Wildrose offers his hand to help her to her feet. "There is a certain art to saying nothing so eloquently, but it does give me ample opportunity to encourage the Lady of Bluedell's curiosity about her husband's secrets. You don't think she'll go looking on her own?" One can never be too careful with this tale. He casts a glance toward the lioness, who is moving out of the garden with the other ladies. Then he shifts closer, looking into her eyes. "But I was actually talking about last night." She knows all of this is just created by the tale. The care, the affection are just part of the role he is playing. But for now, she pushes those thoughts aside and sits in the comfort of it. She accepts the sincerity in his eyes, and she smiles softly. "Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine. If that changes, I will let you know." He rubs his thumb across the back of her hand, and they follow after the other ladies. A variety of activities keeps them entertained over the next few days. They go on carriage rides through the city and the countryside, play a game that involves catching artifact butterflies with nets, and even another evening in which the guardsmen kill the firebird. Tabitha is standing in the garden after breakfast one morning, about a week after the Bluebeard has left on his trip. She's chatting with the other guests about the weather, which outside the embrace of the garden is, as usual, heavy with fog. Wildrose stands just behind Tabitha, watching where the Silver Lioness is speaking quietly with the Lady of Bluedell. One of the men announces an intention to play a friendly game of pool. "Lord of Rosehaven," one of them says to Wildrose, "why don't you show us your skills in the pool hall, unless you prefer the small talk of women?" "Thank you for your gracious invitation. I will do so." Wildrose moves over to Tabitha, dropping his voice. "One of the downsides to being a man, other men get jealous when you converse with their wives too much. Keep an eye on the Silver Lioness. I don't trust her so near the main character." Tabitha nods. She's now experienced in the subtle attempts to shift the Lady of Bluedell's manners, though it is difficult to tell if their efforts are having any effect. Wildrose raises his voice again. "I'll see you later then, my dear." He kisses Tabitha on the cheek. She's grown used to his gentle words and shows of affection over the past week as they play the roles of a loving couple, and she lets herself enjoy the closeness. When he pulls away, her face is flushed. Some of the ladies smile in her direction. Tabitha wonders if this is what it feels like to be in love. She's never expected to find love, not when everything about her life is a lie. The best she can hope for is a marriage of convenience, with even more lies. But Wildrose knows who she is, and doesn't expect her to act a certain way. He just lets her be herself. The lioness looks at Tabitha more directly, and Tabitha challenges her gaze. The men move toward their destination, the pool hall, while the ladies shift toward their circle of benches. "I've never seen such a collection of artifacts as the Lord of Bluedale has," one of the ladies says as they sit. "My lord has to get a special permit to have so many artifacts in one place. Same with having the Firebird. He's very proud of both," the Lady of Bluedale says. "Though I was wondering about the wardrobe in the artifact room. Is it an artifact? It has no label," Tabitha asks gently. "I don't know," the Lady of Bluedale shakes her head. "He has never told me." "Perhaps it has some of his more rare artifacts that he doesn't want to display," a second lady asks. "Have you ever seen inside it?" asked the first lady. "No, and it is locked," the Lady of Bluedale says. "Oh, so you tried to open it?" "I'm surprised you would attempt to go through your husband's things," the lioness says. "I was curious," the Lady of Bluedale says quickly. "I thought it was just another display case when I tried to open it." "Probably just has smelly old cigars," the lioness says. "You know how men are about those things." Tabitha catches the lioness's eye, and the other woman smirks. She has been trying to steer the Lady of Bluedale away from the wardrobe for most of the week. Tabitha doesn't understand why she is trying to ruin the tale. "They are dreadful," one of the ladies agrees. "Who knows why men think so highly of things like that," the lioness says. "It's the competition of it," Tabitha says. "Men like to show off." "Oh, that is quite right," the first lady says. "Like the Lord of Rosehaven did before he left. He certainly likes to show how close the two of you are." Tabitha feels herself blush again. As the other ladies continue to talk, the lioness walks over to sit beside Tabitha. "You're not a storyteller, Lady of Redstone, so what are you doing here with Rose?" Tabitha settles her hands into her lap. "Trying to keep you from ruining the tale, it seems." "So you do know what's going on," the lioness chuckles. "And do you think it's fair?" "Is what fair?" "Haven't you given any thought to the people in these tales affect? Not only the main characters, but all the people here, stuck in a whirlwind they don't even see." "I have thought about it, but the tales have to happen. So they say. But even if the tale ends on this iteration and the Lady of Bluedale is saved, what of the Lord? He will die." Tabitha thinks of how he had touched her in the artifact room. "It's the way the tale happens." "Exactly. What choice did he have? How many of his actions are guided by the laws of the tale?" Tabitha thinks back to how she had simply walked down into that magical forest where she had shattered the mirrors. What will happen when the Snow White tale tries to play out? The tales were created by the Fae and their wisdom. And where did the Fae come from, and who gave them that authority? Tabitha shakes her head in confusion. The Fae just were, as they had always been. "How do you know Rose?" The lioness raised an eyebrow, her smile returning. "Something about it is unsettling, though Tabitha doesn't know why." "He didn't tell you?" "No." "He's my brother." "You're his sister?" "That would be how that works, yes." "I see. You thought we were lovers, didn't you?" Tabitha glances back at the group of ladies. "I just noticed that you knew each other. Were you jealous?" A scream rents through the air. Tabitha jumps to her feet, looking around wildly as the rest of the ladies in the garden begin to panic. She searches the questioning faces, but doesn't find the one she's looking for. Where is the Lady of Bluedale?